It's like having a blessing that you don't know you've been given. There are support systems that are within Martin that may not exist in another space. Martin University is in the business of creating success stories. Success stories like me.
Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Live with Martin U, the live podcast bringing much needed community conversations to the table. Let's Talk Live with Martin U is a live, exciting, and reverent podcast that discusses community topics, alumni successes, and much more that only Martin University can deliver. Without further ado, I have the one and only community gardener, Miss Cherie Hood. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Tia.
I know I've had you on the show before to discuss gardening and plants and how people can be involved within the Black community for gardening, just right in our backyards. But with the summer here, I want to sit down and talk to you about some things that people can start planting and growing right now in their own backyards. So, can you give me a rundown on what you do currently and what are you working on right now?
So currently, well, just a few moments ago, I was working at volunteering at one of the community gardens right here in my neighborhood, and helping them get started. So it's not too late to plant. We planted peppers, collard greens, tomatoes, okra, and we done all that just this morning. And I'm also working in my garden, Three Sisters Garden here, Homestead, and in my yard. So I converted my front yard. I'm like, why all this grass? I hate cutting grass. Yes, my family, my neighbors, everyone think I'm crazy. But when they pulled up to my yard and it was tilled and I didn't get started. But now when they see it, they love it. We have tomatoes growing, we have squash, we have green beans, peppers, herbs, beets, carrots, and well, not no carrots in the front yard, and radishes. So we have abundance of different varieties growing. And I do a lot of community projects. I work with, you say like, hey, can you help me get started? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. I got a few moments. I'll come and I'll help you get started. Um, so I also have a lot that I'm working in Lebanon, a third acre that I'm growing on, and that takes up a lot of time too. So to start growing, whether you live in an apartment or you have a house you're renting or you own a home, you can always grow something. And there's various things we can get started. Like I said, we can still plant peppers, onions, radishes, beets, collard greens, well, not spinach right now, sorry. Kale. Everybody likes kale in their smoothies, but there's another vegetable that you can put in your smoothie that has as much or even more vitamins and nutrients, and that's Swiss chard.
Never
Some
heard of
people
that.
are like, that's what people say. I've never heard of Swiss chard. So when you go to the grocery store, buy the leafy vegetables. They are the leafy stalks that sometimes they have rainbow colors, yellow, ruby red, and just white stalks. People are now cooking, mixing Swiss chard in their greens and putting them in their salads and definitely in their smoothies. It's very good. Like I said, it has abundance of vitamins and nutrients, and it'll give you that pack. You can saute with them, just anything, and it's good. So Swiss chard is very resilient. I mean, it'll stand throughout the heat, no matter how hot it gets, and it can take some even cold temperatures, but not freezing.
Say I want to start planting some things on my balcony or try growing. How do I start that? Where does the process begin? What type of dirt do I purchase, or is it manure? What do I do to really get started from the ground up?
So first off, we get overwhelmed when we want to do a project, right? Because
Hmm.
we're all in our head, like, oh, it's so much to think about. So if we don't have a lot of money, there's resources where you can get things. You can like some of the people at the grocery stores, they have those black pots when they get their flowers in at Kroger's or whatever. Some of those they throw them away. So you can ask them, or do you have, can I have your black pots? Or do you have any to spare? And they may give them to you. Take it home, punch some holes in the bottom, probably put another one on the bottom with some rocks in it, and that's something you can grow in. Then you would get some organic soil. And if you want to mix a bag of cow manure, or some chicken poo in with it for extra nitrogen, you can do that. I say organic because we don't want to start our plants in other things that may have carcinogens, cancer producing agents. The good thing about growing at home is you know what's in the soil, you know where it came from, you know it's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And um, people don't like growing at home. When they get stuff at a farmer's market, and let's say our collard green has a hole in it, well, it was good enough for the bugs. The bugs like it, so you're going to love it. So when you get the collard greens at other places and they don't have any holes or anything in it, they have been treated
Mm.
and therefore they're not really good for us. Yes. So we get started. What you can plant now? So what do you like? It's not too late to plant okra. Um, let's see. You can even throw a tomato plant in the ground right now. You can, or a pot. So on your balcony, you could have a beautiful tomato plant.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could get another pot and throw some lettuce, a lettuce mixture, and maybe put that on the side that's kind of shaded on your balcony part of the day, or behind another plant so it can get some shade. It likes sunlight, but not direct. Then
Mm.
throw you a bell pepper or two, a bell pepper and some jalapenos in another pot. And it'll be pretty, and you can use pretty flower pots. But if you want to use old pots, wash them out first. Wash them out and let them air dry and everything. Get them clean because there could be some residual bacteria hanging around inside the pots.
So, what is the
And
duration of time that it takes for? You said like it's a good time to plant okra. It's not too late to plant tomatoes or jalapenos. What's the time frame to where you plant it, seeing it grow, and it's ready to eat?
so everyone usually goes on our frost dates, our last frost date in this region to our first frost date. So our last frost date could be up to May. We know how Indiana weather is.
Mm-hmm.
Then our first frost date could be late October, mid October. So it just depends. You have to watch that as it goes. So when you, um, like on this seed package, you can't really see it, but these seeds, and it'll tell you how long it takes for this seed to mature so that it'll be able to be picked. And it gives you an idea of how many days it'll take before you'll be able to have a product that you can enjoy. So this is a 58 day, and this is lettuce. And yes, so I avoid getting. I try to buy organic seeds. I do buy organic seeds, and I just avoid getting the other ones. So we just hope that they are truly organic, then we get them. But I grow them in an organic practice without herbicides or pesticides. And if I do use herbicides or pesticides, they're either homemade or they're organic in nature themselves.
What's a homemade pesticide? Doesn't that like defeat the purpose?
Well, homemade pesticide, I have a drawer in the other room, is like I was using some lemons. So I put the lemons in a jar and I put water on them, the lemon rinds after I finish
Mm-hmm.
with them. And I'm let it sit for a couple of days. And then I'm gonna mix it in a spray bottle, dilute it with the water, and spray it on the leaves. And I'm hoping that's gonna work. I think that's why I had the lemon. So you can use lemon, or you can use baking soda mixed with like a Castile soap, a teaspoon of baking soda per gallon of water, Castile soap, and to help get rid of it. And they have so many things on YouTube that you
Mm-hmm.
can make up and use for natural pesticides. I got banana peels in a jar right now. You come in my house, you be like, "What's going on here?" She's a witch doctor. So the banana peels in a jar of water, and that's for to get pulling the potassium out that's left inside of those peels as to feed the plants. And I'm gonna pour that on my tomato plants. I was waiting for it to rain real nice, and it did. So now that the ground has saturated, and I'm gonna pour feed them, and they'll probably be able to absorb the nutrients from that banana peel.
What about those eggshells that I see a lot of people keeping
So
in jars? What is that for?
when I was growing up, my mom would take eggshells and put them in a jar, l- fill it with water, and put a lid on it. And then she would water the plants, and it feeds the plants. It's the calcium breakdown. The
Mm.
eggshells take a lot of time to break down, and it smells bad when you do that. If you got some people over that you want to get rid of too, that's one way to pull out the eggshell water. But also, you can crumble the eggshell in your garden and in the soil, and it'll help keep the slugs from eating your plants because they don't like crawling over the eggshells. So it's a
Oh,
deterrent for pests too.
hmm.
And it takes a long time to break down, so it'll probably break down next year, and it'd be calcium in the soil for your plants next year. Yeah.
What do you tell people or advise those who may not want to grow vegetables, but they still would like to have a green thumb and plant flowers or different plants? How do they get started with that? And what's the type of maintenance that plants deserve?
So the thing about it, like if you're growing in a pot, say that whether it's in your yard, on your deck, your balcony, or whatever, and it's this hot season we have, you're gonna have to water that at least every other day. Especially in the beginning, you have to spray the seeds. So I love flowers. So you can throw some marigolds in a pot, and as long as you water them every day, you're gonna have some marigold plants. But you gotta keep the seeds moist while they're germinating. And it's kind of easy. Sometimes my failure is due to not coming back and watering them consistently. So there's all sorts of beautiful, you can get packets of seeds anywhere. And
Hmm.
sometimes um, the library has a program. They've had it for several years, but they've kind of changed it up this year.
Hmm.
And you can go there, you get seed packets for vegetables and flowers and herbs, and you can plant these at home. So that's a good way if you can't afford or you don't know where to start and you don't want to put a lot of money into it, to go ahead and go to your library and check out. You have to scan the barcode nowadays, but they don't count it against you. They just try to keep count of where their seeds go. And get you some seeds from your local library. And they even have instructions there too.
So, next question I have is, well, I have two, obviously, but one to go back on to gardening vegetables. My mother has never grown vegetables in her backyard. It's just been strictly plants, maybe. What is your advice if somebody wants to create a flower bed? I know my mom had to like flip the soil and turn soil for flowers, but if somebody wants to create an actual bed for their vegetables, how does that begin?
Well, if they want it to be raised, there's one way you can do it. You got to kill that grass. And
Mm.
that cut it as low as you can. Cut it as low as you can. You don't want to till it. If you don't have a tiller and you're not trying to borrow a tiller, put some cardboard down over top of it. Wet the cardboard. Keep it in place. So if you want that bed to be raised, then you start adding stuff on top of it. When you cut your grass, throw your grass clippings. Throw those dead leaves. Throw some sticks on there, and then you build that bed up and you keep building up. It's like a lasagna. You're making a lasagna. You're going to have maybe your sticks on the bottom, some grass clippings, some leaves, and you just keep going. And then eventually, when you get to the height that you might want, then you're going to go purchase you some soil and throw in there. And from the soil, if you're going to border that bed, then you border it, and then you can plant in it. One day I threw down grass and leaves and so, and I planted that very day. And then I threw my compost on top. and I planted that very day, and that was the best little garden. Just a little spot in my backyard.
What's compost for people that don't know what that is?
So compost is a breakdown of organic matter that's rich in nutrients. So you hear people like having a compost pile. So they take their scraps, their when they're cutting the grass, their leaves and their weeds, and they throw it in a pile. And some people toss it and turn it, and you wet it down, and it'll eventually break down. Or you can buy compost,
Mm.
or you can have someone truck you some in, depending how much you need. But it's an organic soil that's rich in nutrients, and it's usually good for my fingernails. It helps them grow during the summer because I'm digging in the soil without my gloves on.
Nice. The last question I had was, say I don't want to just go automatically into planting my plants, but I want to go purchase some from like Lowe's or Home Depot. How do I maintain those type of plants even though they're already, sprouted, but I want them to grow more, bloom, blossom, and I still want to maintain and upkeep the plants. I just don't want to start from the ground.
So easy. Do the same process. Get your pots, or buy some, or get a bucket, however you want to do it, whatever you want to plant in, um, and get your soil. And then you bring those little plants home, take them out of their plastic container, and just loosen the roots up, put them in there, water them, and you have to do the same thing. Just keep them watered on a daily or bi-daily basis, especially when you first get them. Keep the soil moist, and then read the directions per that plant. Some can go a little while, they want the soil to dry in between waterings and not to keep it just totally moist
Mm-hmm.
because
Because
it
you
can
can
kill it.
overwater. Yep.
Yes, it definitely kill it.
I'm trying to bring my plant back to life. She's doing all right, but I was overwatering for a minute, so she
Hmm.
started turning brown, and I knew that I was overwatering her. But what do you have planned coming up that people that are watching can come attend? Any community gardening events? Any what's the word for it? Like markets on Saturdays that you'll be at, or anybody else within the community can attend?
Well, there's a lot of markets around town. There's the Garfield Market, there's the Broad Ripple Market, there's the Benford Market. There's so many markets around town. The main market that I will be attending is going to be on Thursdays. I think it's the second and fourth Thursday of the month, and that's the North Church Market at 38th and Meridian, and that starts at 4 o'clock to 6:30 on those Thursdays. And at those markets, they offer EBT and sometimes fresh bucks. So you come out and you could get you some fresh bucks. And if you have EBT, you can also get an extra $20 without cost towards your EBT card. And then the seniors who have EBT, they can use that also at the market. So a lot of people, they don't realize that, and during the summertime you can go, if you have EBT, you can go to the farmers market, and it's like getting an extra $20 per market or month. I'm not sure how it applies towards a food, fresh, good local food. And when I say local, it's because some people, they don't understand that if my food didn't travel over 400 miles, it's fresher.
Mm,
If it just came across town, it's fresh. When you're buying at the local stores, it'll travel maybe thousands of miles, or 600 or 700 miles to get where it is.
wow. Well, I hope those that are watching are interested. What time are these markets that you attend on Thursdays so people can, come visit you, come shop?
So Three Sisters Garden, North North Church North Church. I'm just tongue tied right now. At 38th Meridian. I think it's the second and fourth Thursdays from 4 o'clock to 6:30 p.m.
Decent
And we
hours.
usually, yes, we usually have a little entertainment there. We have some people doing freestyle. One of the students at Martin University, he's out there and he might do some freestyle or some singing. Um, Usually the health department may have a booth out there for any of your needs that you might, So it's a good market and it's accessible. And come out and see us and hit us up on Facebook at Three Sisters Garden. Inbox us if you have any questions on how to get started or how to maintain your garden or project.
All right, well, you guys heard her first. Go to Facebook and type in Three Sisters Garden. Now, is that the number 3 or the word spelled out?
That's the number 3.
Okay. Three Sisters Garden on Facebook. You don't want to miss out on any opportunities or fresh vegetables because, like she said, it's fresher when it's locally compared to coming in from the stores thousands and thousand miles away. So I thank you so much for joining me again on Let's Talk Live with Martin Yu and sharing your expertise and knowledge on all things gardening. I do appreciate it, and I'm sure those that are watching appreciate it just as much as I do. Water your plants, feed your plants, nurture your plants. That is all I have today on Let's Talk Live with Martin Yu. I'll see you guys same place, same time, right here next week on Let's Talk Live with Martin Yu. Bye.
Thank you.
It's like having a blessing that you don't know you've been given. There are support systems that are within Martin that may not exist in another space. Martin University is in the business of creating success stories. Success stories like me.